Ever thought you knew everything about Australia? Think again. I'm sure you've probably heard of the Great Barrier Reef, the outback, and those adorable kangaroos, but there's so much more to this wild, sunburnt country that'll leave you scratching your head. Like, did you know there's a place in Australia where the traffic lights actually have a mind of their own? Or how about this? Ever wondered why Aussies call flip-flops thongs? Yeah, it's a bit cheeky, isn't it? In this video, we're diving into 7 shocking, jaw-dropping, and downright bizarre facts about Australia that might just make you say, wait, what? So get ready to be blown away by things you didn't know about the land down under. We'll explore everything from peculiar wildlife to underground cities, and even delve into some quirky Aussie history. And no worries, we're keeping it light, fun, and full of Aussie slang. So whether you're a seasoned traveller or just a curious armchair explorer, you're in for a treat. Now, grab your esky. That's a cooler, by the way. Sit back and let's jump right into it. G'day mate, ever wondered why those awesome kangaroos and emus are plastered all over Australia's coat of arms? They're not just there for show, mate. These 2 iconic animals are like the ultimate Aussie spirit animals, always moving forward. Well, most of the time anyway. While they can technically shuffle backwards a bit, it's not their preferred mode of transport. And get this, they symbolize the country's unstoppable progress and never say die attitude. The kangaroo, with its powerful legs, can leap across the outback like it's nothing. We're talking 9 meters in a single bound. That's like jumping over a car. And then there's the emu, the tallest bird in the land. It might not fly, but it can run like the wind. This feathery speedster can hit speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour. So, next time you see the kangaroo and the emu on the Aussie coat of arms, remember what they stand for. Unstoppable progress, resilience, and a can-do attitude. Just like the Aussies themselves. From the vastness of the outback, let's journey to a town where things get a little unusual. Next stop, Coober Pedy, where the real action happens, underground. This outback town was founded in 1915 after the discovery of opals. In Coober Pedy, where summer temperatures often exceed 40 degrees Celsius, living underground offers a practical way to escape the heat. But it's not just about staying cool. Coober Pedy is also the opal capital of the world. You can even try your luck noodling for opals, sifting through piles of dirt to find these hidden treasures. Imagine living in a house where the walls are made of solid rock. Coober Pedy also boasts some unique attractions like underground churches. Don't miss the Serbian Orthodox Church with its stunning frescoes, hotels, and even a golf course with glow-in-the-dark balls, of course. So there you have it, Coober Pedy, a town where you can escape the heat, hunt for opals, and live like a hobbit. Speaking of ancient history, did you know that Australia was once home to some seriously huge creatures? Millions of years ago, it was a real-life Jurassic Park down under. We're talking massive wombats the size of cars, like the Diprotodon. And then there was the Megalania, a goanna that grew up to 7 meters long. This thing was like a Komodo dragon on steroids. But why were these animals so massive? Well, scientists reckon it had something to do with the unique environment and lack of predators in ancient Australia. Sadly, these megafauna are long gone, but their fossils tell an incredible story of a land that was once ruled by giants. You can see some of these amazing fossils at museums around Australia, like the Australian Museum in Sydney or the Melbourne Museum. If you're lucky, you might even find some yourself on a fossil dig. Now, let's fast forward to another incredible story of Australia's natural wonders. Stay tuned. Now for a rather strange chapter in Aussie history. Believe it or not, There was a time when swimming in the ocean was actually illegal in Australia. Yep, back in the 1800s and early 1900s, taking a dip in the ocean during daylight hours was a big no-no. Can you imagine a country with such beautiful beaches and you couldn't even go for a swim? Crazy, isn't it? This law really reflects the strict social norms of the Victorian era. So, why the strict rules? Well, it all boiled down to those pesky Victorian morals. People were worried about public decency and immodest swimwear. Imagine getting arrested for wearing a bikini back then. Instead, people had to wear these swimming costumes that looked like they were borrowed from your grandma's closet. Talk about a fashion faux pas. Thankfully, those silly laws were eventually relaxed and Aussies could finally enjoy their beaches without fear of getting a fine. And let's be honest, who can blame them? With beaches like Bondi, Byron Bay and the Gold Coast, it's hard to resist the urge to jump in for a swim. And these days? Australia is known for its iconic beach culture, with swimming and surfing being a core part of the Aussie lifestyle. From sunrise swims to afternoon surf sessions, the beach is where Aussies go to relax, socialise and soak up the sun. It's practically a religion, mate. So, next time you're enjoying a refreshing dip in the ocean, spare a thought for those poor Aussies who had to sneak around for a swim in the past. And remember, cherish your freedom to wear your bathers and enjoy the Aussie sun. From beaches to birds, let's talk about black swans. No, not the metaphorical kind, but the real life, the feathered variety. Turns out these elegant birds caused quite a stir back in the day. You see, for centuries, Europeans believed that all swans were white. It was a known fact, as solid as the earth being flat. Well, we all know how that turned out. Then, in 1697, Dutch explorer Willem de Vlaming and his crew were cruising along the Swan River in Western Australia when, bam, they stumbled upon these striking black swans. Talk about a what in the world moment. This totally blew their minds and forever altered the European worldview. These black swans weren't just a pretty sight either. They were bigger and bolder than their European counterparts, with a deep red beak and a loud trumpeting call. The black swan is so iconic that it's now the official emblem for the state of Western Australia. You'll find it on their flag, coat of arms, and all sorts of official stuff. If you're keen to see these beauties in person, head to Western Australia. You'll find them in wetlands and along the coast. And get this, today, the term black swan is even used to describe unpredictable events with major impacts, like a global pandemic or a stock market crash. It's a nod to how this feathery discovery totally reshaped perspectives and taught us to expect the unexpected. So next time you see a black swan gliding across a lake, remember the story of how it shook up the world and taught us to never take anything for granted. All right, let's head over to Sydney and check out one of the most iconic buildings in the world, the Sydney Opera House. But here's a juicy tidbit. Did you know that this architectural marvel has been linked to, of all things, an orange? Yep, there's a story floating around that architect Jorn Utzon used the concept of slicing an orange to imagine those iconic roof sails. But before you picture him peeling fruit at his desk, here's the catch. This is more of a creative metaphor than a literal source of inspiration. Utzon himself used the orange analogy to explain how the roof segments could all be cut from the same spherical shape. Pretty clever, huh? Of course, not everyone buys the orange story. Some say the design echoes seashells, sails, or even clouds drifting over the harbour. Whatever the inspiration, there's no denying that Utzon created something truly one of a kind. But creating this architectural marvel wasn't a walk in the park. It took a whopping 14 years to build, with costs skyrocketing from the original estimate of $7 million to a staggering $102 million. And those iconic sails, they were as challenging to construct as they are breathtaking to look at. Engineers had to figure out how to build the massive curved segments without them collapsing under their own weight. Back in the 1960s, they didn't have fancy computer software to model these shapes, so everything was calculated manually. It took years of trial and error before they devised a groundbreaking system of pre-cast concrete ribs and panels to bring Utsen's vision to life. Sadly, the delays and ballooning costs led to political controversy, and Jorn Utzon left the project in frustration in 1966, long before it was finished. It was a dramatic turn for a project meant to inspire unity and culture. And yet, despite all the challenges, the Sydney Opera House opened its doors in 1973, a full decade later than planned. Today, it stands as a testament to bold ideas, groundbreaking engineering, and the perseverance of all who worked on it. Hold on to your hats, mates, because this next fact is a real wild one. Let's rewind the clock back to the late 18th century, when Australia was a tough penal colony. Thousands of convicts were shipped over, and keeping them in line was no easy feat. So, what did the governor do? He formed Australia's first police force called the Night Watch. But here's the kicker. The first 12 members of this force were actual convicts. Can you believe that? These guys were handpicked from the prisoner population, given uniforms and muskets and told to keep the peace. Talk about a second chance. It's like something straight out of a movie, yay? Now, before you judge, these weren't the most hardened criminals. They were chosen for their good behaviour and trustworthiness, and guess what? They actually did a pretty decent job. The Night Watch paved the way for a proper police force, and eventually things became a bit more, well, official. But hey, you got to start somewhere, right? And in Australia, they started with a bunch of convicts turned lawkeepers. And there you have it, mates. 7 astonishing facts about Australia that might just have you saying, crikey, I gotta get me some of that. From quirky wildlife to hidden towns and a Wild West history, this country is chock full of surprises. So, which fact blew your mind the most? Was it the kangaroos on the coat of arms, the underground town of Coober Pedy, or maybe the convict cops? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this wild ride down under, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your mates, and subscribe to our channel for more awesome adventures around the globe. Until next time, keep exploring.